And a very happy Thursday to you at 12:08 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
Johnny, it's summer vacation time, and I'm sure there's lots of people planning different trips. Maybe they're heading to an airport. Maybe they're heading east to the mountains, north to wine country, west to the beach, or south to Tijuana.
There's a lot of prostitution, a lot of crimes.
Well, that's basically the draw. That and Highlight and the Donkey Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, even though today feels like a holiday, it's not. Tomorrow's the holiday, but today is getaway day for so many people. It's still a day when a lot of news is breaking, including the latest. Out of Washington, D.C. moments ago, President Trump's big, beautiful bill just passed the House of Representatives. That means it beat the July 4th deadline, and the big, beautiful bill has now been put to bed. If you're wondering what the reaction has been, go ahead and check your stock portfolio. The stocks, they're going bananas today. In addition to all of that, there was a jobs report that dropped earlier today that beat all expectations. So right now, the economy is humming. Inflation is dropping. The word on the street is that interest rates are going to be going down in the not-too-distant future, and it's a great way to start your holiday weekend. In many cases, a 3-day holiday weekend, although I guess if you are in Hollywood, it's a Hollywood weekend.
Well, a Hollywood weekend would sound more like this.
There's a lot of prostitution, a lot of crimes.
Well, maybe if you're P. Diddy. Had they let him out, you know he'd be celebrating this weekend, and we know how he celebrates.
Invest in baby oil.
There wouldn't be a bottle of baby oil left west of the Mississippi or east of the Mississippi. He'd have it all. All right, so while all of that is going on nationally, Randy, you found what might be the most Oakland story ever created.
This is emblematic of so many things that are wrong with Oakland, because Oakland has a lot of good people that want their city to shine, and some people even put in their own sweat and their own money to do it, including one man who's been volunteering on his own to personally clean up sites that are rampant with illegal dumping. He wants to clean up all the trash, make Oakland pretty again, and, John, he's given up.
Wait, what happened to the Good Samaritan in him?
Well, he cleaned up a bunch of places, and then they just got full of trash again. And so now he says, screw it.
Oh, they killed this man's will to help.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
This man was doing something the city could not and would not do, and the city of Oakland has taken all the spirit out of him.
It was bound to happen sooner or later.
For more on this Good Samaritan who's saying screw it to cleaning up Oakland, here is KPIX in the Bay Area.
Illegal dumping has long been a problem in Oakland. City leaders have tried.
You remember Shang Tao's first State of the City address, where she had zero things to really list as accomplishments, and she said such gems as,
"Not a day goes by where I don't wish I could just wave a magic wand and silence the gunfire."
The only thing she listed as a win for her administration, and this was in the fall of 2023, that is, if you see a burned out car on the side of the road, we will tow it.
I know she made that claim, but weren't the tow yards full and they had to stop doing that at a certain point?
I didn't say the claim was true. I'm just saying that's what she claimed.
I see.
The bureaucracy is real.
Illegal dumping has long been a problem in Oakland. City leaders have tried for years to tackle the problem. They've had varying degrees of success, but still no definitive solution.
How is this difficult of a problem?
It's Oakland. Everything's a problem.
That's why Andy Wong decided to take...
No relation.
Are you sure he's not a long-lost relative?
Fairly sure. Although he does have the last name of my real last name. But that's also the most common last name in the world.
You don't say.
That's why Andy Wong decided to take on the problem himself. A longtime volunteer who's widely known as Paying Weather on Reddit gained a big following on social media for cleaning up trouble spots around the town, only to find them trashed again a few days later or even hours later.
This damn city.
Imagine breaking your back trying to clean up a site. You do it, you're successful, it looks beautiful, and 2 hours later, it's trashed.
That's why he told our Kara St. Cyr he's had enough.
This trash pickup could be Andy Wong's last. He's a computer scientist turned social media sensation that cleans up litter in his spare time.
I've spent my own money on supplies, on gas, even...
You can hear it in his voice. This poor guy is defeated.
He is at his wit's end.
Even spent my own money from time to time on, dumping fees.
But by his count,
he was taking stuff to the dump.
Well, that means he's paying the dongs.
Something you want to think about throughout this story is who is responsible for trash pickup in the city of Oakland.
But by his calculations, most of the 50 Oakland lots he's cleaned just end up dirty again.
That is the most predictable part of this story.
Like this one on 67th and Foothill.
Not gonna lie, it's a little disappointing. I understand if it gets a little bit retrashed. I mean, that's just how Mother Nature works in a way. But to see it fully trashed up again.
Trashed up is not a term I'm familiar with, but I haven't spent that much time in Oakland.
Well, has this guy ever had a house guest? The cleaning lady comes. The house looks pristine. It looks like a museum. You invite your guests into your house. 20 minutes later, it looks like there was a DEA raid.
Your first mistake was inviting a house guest. Hotels exist for a reason.
It's sad.
That fact makes him question, why even bother? So he decided he won't.
I enjoy volunteering in Oakland, but, there's got to be a better way.
What?
And by the way, for a computer scientist, he's got personality.
I can't think of a more Sisyphean task, like pushing a boulder up a hill endlessly, than trying to pick up all the trash in Oakland because it repopulates on a daily basis.
They should send him to Holly Mitchell's district.
Wong announced on Reddit that he won't be cleaning any more lots in Oakland.
I can't help the community if the city also doesn't pull its weight.
Wong is open to dialogue with Oakland officials, telling them what he'd like to see done before he continues cleaning up streets. First, he says he'd like to see the city crack down on illegal dumping, which is what he sees as the root of the issue.
Typically, with trash like this, it looks residential.
The city does have a hot...
Again, just think about why it would be that, for instance, I don't know, apartment buildings wouldn't be using their own dumpster and would be choosing to dump their trash in the middle of some street. Why would that be?
Wasn't California Waste Solutions called out for illegally overcharging their customers, and then the city was looking the other way?
Absolutely.
This is not a problem that is exclusive to Oakland, but you look in several places, including Los Angeles, where a few years ago, the city of L.A. redid the way we did trash contracts to the point where we gave monopolies to certain trash companies. The fees went through the roof, especially for small businesses and apartment buildings, because homeowners, that one goes through property taxes. And what happened? We saw a massive spike in illegal dumping.
Oakland is also a town that's known for basically anything goes. So not only do the bad actors in Oakland dump their trash there, but if you're a bad actor in a neighboring community and you know that your community will blow the whistle, but in Oakland they don't care, well, why not just dump your trash in Oakland?
What exactly are you accusing Emeryville of doing?
Dumping their trash in Oakland.
The city does have a...
Piedmont, you doing any dumping?
in Oakland.
The city does have a hotline for illegal dumping. The Department of Public Works is...
I guarantee nobody picks up that phone.
They don't pick up 911 up there.
The Department of Public Works has already responded to thousands of complaints this year.
Thousands. It's only July.
And I don't believe they've responded to thousands of complaints. Maybe they've taken thousands of complaints, but doing something with those complaints, that's a different story.
Well, this is Oakland. Respond means I took a report, not that I did something about it. Otherwise, this Mr. Andy Wong wouldn't have to be cleaning up all these sites over and over and over again.
Or more likely, they told you to fill out a form online.
But Wong says the enforcement isn't strong enough. Now he says he won't touch a trash bag again if he doesn't see a change.
I have good feelings.
This guy's going to steer all the other way, and he's going to start throwing burger wrappers out of the side of his car.
Oh, yeah, he's going to look like Al Bundy driving down the freeway.
Especially after my conversation with District 2 and my upcoming conversations with District 1.
This guy can't get the mayor on the phone. By the way, where is the mayor? I feel like Barbara Lee's been in hiding ever since she got inaugurated.
Well, she's almost 80. She's probably tired.
I think, they've been willing to listen to me.
While Wong won't clean for a while, he's at least optimistic that maybe his work won't go to waste.
Yeah, it did.
Don't even pretend like we don't know the answer to that.
This poor guy. Somebody in Oakland tries to stand up and do the right thing, and the city eats him alive for it.
As do the residents.
I can get that.
Let's go to John in Santa Monica. John, hello.
John? Are you on mute, John?
Going once, going twice. Here's what's going to happen. He's going to realize after he listens to the delay that we went to him, and he's going to realize that the phone was on mute the entire time, and then he's going to call back so we can play this game again.
Well, I haven't hung up on him yet. So we got about 10, 15 more seconds till the delay. Let's see if he realizes that we went to him.
1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Let's go to John in Santa Monica. John, hello. Okay, he fell asleep at the wheel. If you're on the road in Santa Monica, watch out for a car that's in the wrong lane. They're not from England, and they don't think that that's the way we drive here. They're just on about 8 ambient. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Got a couple emails here. Let's start with Will, who writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. So now we have a Wong paying a dong for trash collection. Only in Oakland is there an endless supply of trash and not just the bureaucracy.
The bureaucracy is real.
And if we talk about Oakland, we're going to get an email from Al listening from the Port of Oakland. Hey, guys, Waste Management picks up residential garbage in Oakland. Dong's Cal Waste Solutions picks up recycling, and city employees are supposed to pick up trash dumped in the streets. Anywho, right or wrong, Shang Baby likes them dirty streets, so let's hear from her and jumpstart the holiday.
That's right. I like that. That was amazing.
That's quite the clip to play after the man said that Shang likes it dirty.
That's what a mayor do.
And Randy, the weekend is going to start early this week. It's going to start on Thursday at 3 o'clock. But if you want to listen to us all weekend long, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcast, whether it's the Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You could download all the episodes that way. You could also do what George Gascon likes to do in the middle of the night because he doesn't have a job.
Do a Google on YouTube.
You can get all the John Phillips Show episodes on YouTube. You can like and subscribe and share them with your friends. Post them in Facebook groups. You could download the KABC app. You could download the KSFO app. And when you have all these podcasts in your hands, even though it's a Friday or a Saturday, you can pretend like it's a
Tuesday, Wednesday,
And Randy, coming up this weekend, we're going to be on the air in Fresno.
Starting every Saturday from 2 to 3, you can hear the John Phillips Show, the Fix California Hour replay specifically on KMJ in Fresno, covering the entire Central Valley. That's 580 on the AM dial, 105.9 on the FM dial, and you can stream it live every Saturday from 2 to 3 wherever you are by going to kmjnow.com or downloading the KMJ Now app. Represent and show KMJ that you like hearing the John Phillips Show in the Central Valley.
We have some breaking news about California's pay-to-play Attorney General, Rob Bonta.
This is kind of wild because we were just about to do this segment anyway when I see a Twitter post from Eitan Wallace at Fox 40 that Rob Bonta has posted his 33-page legal opinion on daily fantasy sports gambling. I'm going to read straight from Eitan's tweet because I don't have time to read a 33-page report. Just in, California Attorney General Rob Bonta releases a 33-page legal opinion on daily fantasy sports games in California. Bonta concludes that California law prohibits the operation of daily fantasy sports games with players physically located within California. The question posed to Bonta, does California law prohibit the operation of daily fantasy sports games with players physically located within California, regardless of the operators and associated technology are located outside the state? Bonta's answer, quote, yes, California law prohibits the operation of daily fantasy sports games with players physically located within California, regardless where the operators and technology are located. Such games constitute wagering on sports in violation of Penal Code Section 337A. Important to note, the California Department of Justice does not have the authority to make new law or change the law. Only the legislature and the voters of California can decide whether to change the law. So even if Rob Bonta has this opinion, it doesn't look like it changes how these games are played in California just yet.
And Rob Bonta, of course, has to stand for election every 4 years as Attorney General of California. He is running for re-election in the upcoming midterm elections. One of the groups that he takes a ton of money from are the Indian casinos. And one of the things that the Indian casinos don't want in the state of California is competition. They are scared to death that if sports gaming is legalized at some point in California, that will cut into their profits if they don't have a monopoly on it. Rob Bonta is looking out for the Indian casinos and not California consumers.
It's really interesting, too, because if you look back at his donations in 2022, Bonta was almost taking the same amount of money from card rooms as he was from the tribal casinos. And then all of a sudden, the tribal casinos started spending a lot more money on Bonta. The card rooms cut off Bonta's money. And what's another thing that he did earlier this year? Oh, that's right. Rob Bonta started figuring out if he could close all the card rooms or stop them from playing blackjack.
This guy is pay to play. When you think of all of the problems that the state of California is facing right now, that the California Department of Justice could have some impact on, card rooms and online fantasy sports is not at the top of the list. But that's what's occupying all of Rob Bonta's time because that's where the dollar signs are.
Before this opinion was put out today, Rob Bonta actually got sued by one of those fantasy operators, Underdog Fantasy. And here's a report from KCAL on that lawsuit.
The daily fantasy sports site is suing State Attorney General Rob Bonta over his plan to ban all similar sites in California.
KCAL's Rick Montanez breaks down why this is happening and how this could impact bettors right here in California.
Fantasy leagues involve picking real players from various professional teams to make up the fantasy team to play against other made-up teams.
It gives a whole different aspect to the game of, like, you're not just looking at who wins or loses the overall match. You're looking at how do specific players.
It combines statistics and gambling to make even more gambling.
Well, you think about it. It's only a matter of time before the teams themselves get involved with this. Because if you think about what life is like over at Santa Anita or you go to Los Alamitos, Hollywood Park, wherever, you get to bet on the horse races right there. You get to walk up to the window. You get to place your bet. You get to go sit in your seat, sip your cocktail, and watch the race right in front of you. And if you win, you get to go collect on your ticket right there. Imagine a world where you're at Dodger Stadium or Angel Stadium or fill in the blank, and you're watching a game take place right in front of you, and right there next to the beer stand is a betting stand where you can go place your bets on the game and you can collect your money after the game is over. Or you could probably even just do it on your phone. That's where we're headed. However long it takes us to get there, I don't know. But that's where we're headed. And right now, if you're the existing brick and mortar casinos and you have the monopoly, you do not want to allow this to happen. You do not want to give an inch. And fantasy sports is where the fight is right now for that reason.
Do in that game, and it can give a whole new element to the entertainment aspect of it.
Several sources tell me California Attorney General Rob Bonta is expected to issue a legal opinion on the practice by the end of the week. General online sports betting was outlawed in 2022.
Well, it wasn't really outlawed. It was never legal here. What happened was we had two competing bills that spent $100 million tearing each other down. Nobody knew what to vote for, and so they said no to both.
I am someone who loves to bet on sports. I would love the opportunity to be able to legally bet on sports in California, but I voted no on both of them because they were monopolies that were just gross.
When California voters shot down Prop 27, Republican Assemblymember Tom Lackey has been urging Bonta to clarify whether the fantasy version should be outlawed.
And if you're wondering why Lackey's doing this, well, he's gotten $50,000 from the tribal casinos.
Well, there you go.
Over 80% indicated that they didn't want this. And so, to be fair to the people of the state of California.
Also, that's not fair. You can't say because voters said no to those bills that 80% of California voters don't like to gamble.
No. There were issues at play in that election that were independent of whether or not you thought that betting on sports should be legal.
To be fair to the people of the state of California, we thought we need a legal opinion on this before we craft any public policy that addresses this.
A lawsuit filed Tuesday by...
So what? You chose to go to the Village Idiot?
Yes. That's what his donors told him to do.
A lawsuit filed Tuesday by Underdog, a fantasy sports platform, claims Bonta's decision will decimate fantasy sports in California. The suit calls into question whether Bonta even has the power to issue the legal opinion.
Spoiler alert, he doesn't.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Loyola law professor Jessica Levinson says she expects several legal hurdles before any changes are made.
I suspect there will be challenges, first, to his authority to even issue that opinion, as we're seeing right now, and then two, with respect to his ultimate conclusion. They will say, no, that's actually not right under state law, and or perhaps that state law actually itself has some constitutional questions.
The Coalition for Fantasy Sports says in a statement to take these games away now would be a complete disregard for the will of the people. We urge the Attorney General to listen to the millions of sports fans whose voices deserve to be heard. On the other side,
you can call them gambling fans. We don't have to pretend that this is all about because people love sports.
No, and I would also add this. If you look at television ratings, for example, as a way to gauge popularity, the number one television program in the country every single year is the Super Bowl. You go down below the Super Bowl, and it's the NFL playoffs. You look at the top 100 rated television programs in the country on any given year, and a huge percentage of them are some kind of live sports entertainment. People love watching live sports. And now, in particular, since you have all the streaming services and all the cable channels and all the pay channels and movies and everything else, you can look at different videos from YouTube on your phone, whatever the case may be. One thing that's been a constant is that live sports are popular and draw an audience. People love this. And the fact that the politicians don't seem to recognize the fact that people love live sports entertainment is beyond my ability to comprehend because it's right in front of your face.
On the other side, the California Nations Indian Gaming Association says illegal and unregulated gaming has been a problem in California for decades.
Gee, I wonder why you think that.
Yes, don't gamble on your phone. Come to us.
Gamble at Morongo.
These illegal practices deny consumers real protections and safeguards against illicit practices such as fraud and underage gambling.
Okay, that's just nonsense.
Well, here's what they're worried about. If you allow this to happen for sports, and believe me, there is a huge market out there for sports gaming. I have all kinds of apps on my phone because I love to play cards, where I play video poker for pretend money, or I play Ultimate X poker for pretend money, or I play blackjack for pretend money. You can do it for Baccarat or some of the other card games as well. If this passes, it's only a matter of time before they say, okay, why can't you bet on blackjack while you're waiting for the dentist? Why can't you bet on Baccarat while you're waiting for your flight? Why can't you bet on Ultimate X poker while you're waiting, well, this is a trick question, for your American Airlines flight? Because that's going to be canceled and you're just going to sit there for a long time.
You know it's going to expand beyond that. You can prop bet anything in certain places. We might be at a point in a couple of years where people could bet on things they hear on this show. Will there be a Shang Tao absolutely drop by 1 p.m.?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You can make some money.
You know what I just realized that's super hilarious, Johnny?
What?
We are broadcasting on AM 810, which is KSFO, which used to be KGO, a radio station that was flipped to a online sports betting format because the uppity-ups were so sure that those bills were going to pass in 2022.
Well, it's popular. I would have told you that was going to pass. It wasn't until the specifics came out and you said, oh, my God, these dummies killed the golden goose.
We are glad to see Attorney General Bonta address the issue and look forward to lawbreakers being held to account.
You know, I just think there might be something a little unethical about a group applauding a move by Bonta when they're the ones funding his campaign.
Well, and it's not as if they're looking out for consumers because gambling is something that can destroy a family's net worth. They don't care about that. They just want you to destroy your family's net worth over at their gambling hall.
I reached out to the Attorney General's office several days ago to see whether there is, in fact, a plan to release an opinion. So far, we have still not heard back.
I do think that, it should be up to the people of California to vote whether this should be legal or not. And, there definitely should be regulations in place like there would be on a casino.
A decision on fantasy teams with real money on the line. Rick Montanez, KCAL News.
All right, so that's what Rob Bonta has to say. And, Randy, we have some breaking news regarding sports betting. Listen to this. ESPN is reporting that Cleveland Indians right-hander Luis Ortiz is under investigation by Major League Baseball after a betting integrity firm flagged a pair of pitches that had received unusual gambling activity. Sources told ESPN the betting integrity firm IC360 sent an alert in June to sportsbook operators regarding Ortiz, whom Major League Baseball has now placed on non-disciplinary paid leave through July the 17th. The alert, according to sources who reviewed it, referenced action on Ortiz's first pitches in select innings to be a ball or hit batsman in two games, June 15th against the Seattle Mariners and June 27th against the St. Louis Cardinals. In both the bottom of the second inning against the Mariners and the top of the third inning against the Cardinals, Ortiz threw first pitch slider that was well outside the strike zone. The alert on Ortiz's first pitches flagged bets in Ohio, New York, and New Jersey. Betting on the result of first pitches is offered by some sports books, which such wagers are commonly referred to as micro bets. Ortiz's paid leave, which ends at the conclusion of the All-Star break, was negotiated between the league and the MLB Players Association. If the investigation remains open, the leave could be extended. Ortiz had been scheduled to start Thursday night's game against the Chicago Cubs. So there could be some hanky-panky going on over there in sports betting.
Well, that's happened forever.
That's true. Now, speaking of sports betting, we told you that Rob Bonta issued a ruling or issued an opinion against fantasy betting, fantasy sports. However, according to some, Randy, that opinion is meaningless.
That's because he got sued by fantasy sports operators, and the judge in that case said, well, I can't really offer an injunction because Rob Bonta's legal opinion is meaningless. For more, here is KCRA 3 and the woman that broke all of this, Ashley Zavala.
Sacramento County judge denying Underdog Fantasy's request to block the AG from releasing a legal opinion that could ban the platforms here in the state.
KCRA 3 Capitol correspondent Ashley Zavala was the first to report that incoming decision from the Attorney General, and she joins us now with the latest on this. Ash?
And Lisa, California Attorney General Rob Bonta is expected to release that legal opinion tomorrow, deeming all online fantasy sports platforms illegal in the state. As we reported yesterday, Underdog Fantasy, one of the largest daily fantasy sports operators in the country, sued and asked the court for two things. First, to determine Bonta does not have the legal authority to do this, and second, a temporary restraining order to block the opinion from going into effect while the court decides. Today, Sacramento County Judge Jennifer Rockwell denied Underdog's request for that temporary restraining order. She said Underdog knew for 18 months the AG was reviewing this and said, quote, the fact that petitioners delayed filing this action does not constitute a basis for ex parte relief. But she also went on to say Bonta's legal opinion will not have an effect on state law.
Whoa, the Indian casinos aren't going to like that. They paid a lot for that opinion.
Underdog Fantasy, in a statement, relieved. A spokesperson told us, quote, the court stated that the Attorney General's forthcoming opinion on fantasy sports does not affect any change in law and does not carry the weight of law. As a result, the court explained that the protective relief we sought was not necessary. We thank.
Boy, this sounds like some kind of racket where Bonta got a whole bunch of donations to do nothing.
I'm telling you, the Indian casinos, after hearing this, are not going to be happy. Sounds like Bonta took them to the cleaners, too.